This coconut jelly has two mixes which come together in layers to make an amazing dessert. Hi, and you're watching Plating It with Wendy, where I share with you recipes which impress with ease. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, share and comment. And if you enjoy trying out recipes that turn out right every time and you haven't subscribed already, then go ahead, press that subscribe button, and while you're at it, if you hit on that bell icon, you'll be the first to get notified every time I upload a new video. Now, let's get started. For the creamy coconut milk layer, we're going to go in with 1.5 cup of coconut milk, and I'm using canned coconut milk, but if you wanted, you could always use grated coconut, add some water to it, grind it in the mixer, and extract the coconut milk. And now to that, we're going to add 1.5 cup of coconut water. And you want to make sure that it does not have any sugar or additives in it. And now to that, to sweeten it up, we're going to go in with 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of white granulated sugar. And to bring out all the flavors, we're going to go in with a pinch of salt, just a pinch. And now for an added flavor, we're going to go in with 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence. And this is a clear vanilla essence, it's not a pure vanilla extract. We want to keep that pure white color of the coconut. And here's what I like to add in: 4 cardamoms. And this gives a lovely light flavor to the coconut jelly. And to that, we're going to add 2¼ teaspoons of agar. And what I'm using here is agar powder. This is actually like a vegetable-based gelatin. Now let's give this a mix so that the agar gets a chance to blend with the liquid. Always make sure when you're adding agar to add it into room temperature liquid, because if the liquid is hot, the agar will turn lumpy. That's looking good now. Let's keep this aside and mix our second layer. And now for the clear layer of the coconut jelly, we're going to go in with 2 cups of coconut water. Try to use coconut water that's naturally sweet or any coconut water that you enjoy drinking. And now to that, we're going to add 1/4 cup of white granulated sugar. And now once again, we're going to go in with a pinch of salt. And next, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of clear vanilla essence. And now into this, we're going to add 3 cardamoms. And to help the clear jelly to set, we're going to go in with 1.5 teaspoon of agar powder. And once again, making sure to add it to a room temperature liquid. Now let's give this a stir so that the agar gets a chance to blend with the coconut water. Now let's go over to the stove and cook them up one at a time, or you could do both together and use 2 hands. Okay, now on a medium heat, we're going to allow this to come to a boil, and we're going to stir it gently so that the agar does not settle to the bottom. Because if it settles to the bottom, it's going to form like a jelly layer at the bottom. And while you're stirring it, make sure that the cardamoms don't split, otherwise all the seeds are going to get into the jelly. The coconut milk has come to a bubble, so we're just going to check that all the agar has melted inside. And yes, it has, because now you cannot see any of those little specks of the agar. Now what we're going to do here is that we need to keep it in a liquid form. We're going to keep it on another stove on a simmer, which is like really low heat. And while our coconut milk layer is on a simmer, we're going to take the other pot with the coconut water and bring it to a boil. And once again, we're just going to stir it gently during that time so that the agar does not settle to the bottom. While you're stirring the coconut water, keep an eye on the coconut milk which is on simmer. Don't forget about that. And give it a stir once in a way. The coconut water layer 2 has come to a boil. Let's give it a check to make sure that the agar has all melted. And yes, it has. So now we're going to switch the stove onto simmer and leave it there while we start layering the jelly. The goal here is to get equal layers of the coconut milk and the coconut water mixtures. So we're going to go in with 3 layers of the coconut milk and 2 layers of the coconut water mixture. And we're just going to fish out the cardamoms first. So we're going to go in with 1 cup of the coconut milk to start with. I'm using a 6 by 8 inch glass container, and we're gently going to pour the coconut milk layer into it. Just going to do it very slowly because we don't want any bubbles. So just keeping it. Oops, there are some bubbles coming. You can always take them out. Now to take out the bubbles, you could always just take a clean kitchen paper towel and just dab them. Now we're going to put this into the fridge for just 5 minutes because we don't want it to set completely. We only want the edges to set. Now let's go and put this back onto simmer. Now what you want over here is for the edge to be set, but it will be still warm to the touch. And now we're going to grab the clear coconut water layer. And once again, let's fish out the cardamoms because their job here is done. Make sure to wash your measuring cup between each layer. And now once again, we're going to go in with 1 cup of the liquid. Now once again, the goal is not to get any bubbles since we're going to use the spoon to take the shock. And we're going to go right to the edge where it has set and start pouring from there. Just be very gentle with it because the center of the bottom layer would have not set as yet. So we don't want to disturb it. We don't want a cloudy mess. We want nice layers. And now we're going to pop this into the refrigerator for another 5 minutes. And don't forget, this has to go back on simmer. Now our coconut water layer has also set at the edges. You don't want it completely set because then the next layer will not stick to it. And now we're going to repeat the process and we're going to put another cup of the coconut milk layer. This is such an easy dessert to put together. And the hardest part is just actually getting it to come to a boil. And once it has set with all these layers, it looks so impressive. Your guests are going to be amazed. Okay, now let's put this back into the refrigerator for 5 minutes. And once again, this returns back to simmer. And now let's pour on our last layer. If you wanted, you could also just do 2 layers. But this way, it looks so impressive. And it really doesn't take much effort to do this. Always pour from the outside because it's touching the glass which chills up faster. So it has a tendency to set from out towards the in. Very much like a cake which bakes from out to in because the cake tray heats up faster. Now let's set this back into the refrigerator for 5 minutes before we put the lid on and allow it to set for 2 hours before we cut it and enjoy it. It's been about 2 hours and our coconut jelly has set. Now it's time to unmold it. We're going to open the lid. Wow, look how well it has set. It's not sticking to my finger. Now to loosen up the vacuum and allow some air to go in so that the jelly comes out of the mold, we're going to use an offset spatula and we're gently going to take the offset spatula all around so that some air gets right to the bottom. And now to unmold it, we're going to place our cutting board on the top. Let's flip it over. Just give it a little shake and there it comes out. Now you could just cut it into pieces here, but I'm looking for some nice clean cut edges. We're going to level out the ends which has some curves and make them straight. And this is your treat to snack on. Now let's cut off this edge. Just going to cut it now into pieces. So you want some nice squares. You're going to get 9 pieces from this jelly, but I have plated only 4. Oh my goodness, look at that. And now it's time to give our coconut jelly a taste. Wow, I'm really excited. This looks so delicious. Oh my, just watch the way the fork just went through it. It just melts in your mouth and that coconut flavor is so refreshing. I feel like I'm on a beach. And I'm going to go in for a second because I don't want to let that feeling go away. And if you want to enjoy this coconut jelly as much as I do, then hop onto my website, platingitwithwendy.com, where you will find the full written recipe. Thanks for watching. See you soon.